Hey everybody, it's Gamodex and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we have the Tinkerer's Cube Draft. This is much like the regular Magic Arena Cube where there's going to be cards from any set that's on Arena in this cube, a bunch of powerful cards, tons of rares and mythics. The packs are not distributed like a regular draft where it's just packs from one certain set, one rare piece. These are going to be powerful decks that are going to be constructed more at a higher power level, like a standard or historic kind of power level, but it works the same way as a regular draft. The differences between the Magic Arena Cube and the Tinkerer's Cube is that the Tinkerer's Cube is going to be much more about synergistic decks and cards that work well together, but don't work well in the wrong deck. So you really have to focus more on drafting the right sort of strategies in this cube, or at least cards that work well with your other cards that you've taken so far. A good example of this is in the original cube, you had like Isamaru. Isamaru is like a 1 mana 2/2 in white. And then you had Banalish Marshal, which is like 3 white for a 3/3 that gives all your other creatures +1/+1. So obviously either of those cards are just good aggressive cards generally that can go into any deck. Well, instead of those cards, you have cards like Soul Warden. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life, and Ajani's Pridemate. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So if you're drafting like a white aggressive deck this time around, now you actually have to get synergistic like life gain style cards to kind of focus in on that strategy with the Pridemate, with the Soul Warden, with cards like Griffinary. You have to gain 3 or more life to spit out creatures with this. So there's a lot of synergies like that going on in this cube. The easiest way, since they let you look through the whole cube to see what's in there, the easiest way to kind of see what the general strategies for each color scheme are is to just go to the gold cards at the end before you hop into your first draft. I definitely recommend this, and just seeing what the multicolored cards in each 2-color pair tend to do, because they'll usually be all very similar. As we can see here, Skycat Sovereign cares about having a lot of creatures with flying. Staggering Insight just lets you draw cards when you deal combat damage to a player, so that's a little less synergistic than the other ones, but as you can see, every other card here makes a flyer. Warden makes a flyer, Dovin makes flyers with the -1 ability, Empyrean Angel gives all of your flyers +1/+1. I was about to say puts +1/+1 counters on them, but not that good. And then finally, Elite Guard Mage is a flyer that gains life and draws a card. So you can tell blue-white flyers is kind of the blue-white theme. You have Staggering Insight in there because with flying creatures, it's easier to deal damage to your opponent repeatedly. So you're drawing cards by hitting them with your flyers. In black-white, we have black-white life gain, with the Indulging Patrician and the Regal Bloodlord making that very obvious. They just don't do anything if you're not gaining a bunch of life. Blue-black has Mill. You've got the traditional Rogue Mill of Soaring Thief and a Drown in the Loch, really working off of your mill. And then you have like Ashiok. And if you saw back in blue, there's like Merfolk, Secret Keeper, Ruin Crab. There's just tons of mill in here. So that is definitely a thing. Yeah, Merfolk, Secret Keeper, the Ruin Crab. All of those kind of mill cards. So blue-black mill, definitely a thing. And then on to black-red. Oh, blue-red, actually. Let's not skip over blue-red. Blue-red is based on instants and sorcery spells, like usual. Dorat and Saheeli, giving you value whenever you cast any non-creature spell. Crackling Drake and Experimental Overload, caring about the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard. And Ral can like copy instants and sorceries. So blue-red, instant and sorcery spells. Black-red, kind of sacrifice. Dreadhorde Butcher, giving you value when it dies. Judith, giving you value whenever any of your other creatures die. And Slaughter Priest of Mogis, letting you sacrifice things. Black-green is kind of an undergrowth sort of Golgari sort of strategy. Lots of self-mill like Acolyte of Affliction, and then cards that give you value from the stuff in your grave, like Back for More can bring stuff back and have it fight something. Lord of Extinction being really large if your graveyard is really large. Izoni giving you a bunch of 1/1s, letting you sacrifice them to gain life and draw a card. And Feed Artisan also getting large based on how big your graveyard is. So, Golgari, kind of a self-mill strategy. Gruul looks like just a traditional aggro deck to me. I don't see any very specific strategies going on here. Because there's just like a 4-mana 5/5, a 3/3 that puts a counter on all your other creatures. Domri just makes your creatures bigger. And then same with Boros. It looks like pretty traditional kind of aggro deck there. Maybe a little more focused on getting a lot of creatures on the board, going wide. Heroic Reinforcements making 2 creatures. Hero of the Nyx board making creatures when you target them. Sky Knight Vanguard making creatures when it attacks, and Honored Crop Captain giving +1 to all your attacking creatures. Selesnya has the token theme like usual, with Riz the Redeemed and Trostani Discordant, but it's also got a +1/+1 counter theme available with Conclave Mentor, Knight of Autumn type cards, but it's also got a bit of an enchantment theme with Calyx and Siona, so there's actually a lot of different ways to go with Selesnya in this cube. Simic is Proliferate, lots of Proliferate cards and cards that have +1/+1 counters, the Skydiver, the Roalesk, the Primal Empathy, the Kiora. And after that, once you get to the multicolored cards, that's just like, you can go for their strategies, but they're definitely going to be a little less well represented. So you've got like Mutate, and then Bolas is just a good card. More Mutate with Brokos, so I guess there's probably a lot of Mutate in the cube. And Yarok doubling up all of your enter the battlefield effects is pretty cool. So with that out of the way, let's hop into my first ever Tinkerer's Cube draft. I actually don't believe I drafted the original Tinkerer's Cube draft a single time, so this is my first one, period, but definitely my first one of the new cube. I know that for 100% certainty. Let's see how well we can draft here, how synergistic of a deck we can get, what kind of crazy stuff we can go, maybe get some cool combos. Have a good time all around. Alright, what do we open up here? Okay, so we have Anointed Procession for making a token deck. Woodland Champion also for a token deck, but definitely if we're trying to make a bunch of tokens, Anointed Procession would be something we want to take over the Champion. All That Glitters for like an artifact and enchantment deck. Mikaeus the Lunarch seems good for... Really, any aggressive deck would be fine, but as we saw with those Selesnya cards, it would be great in a +1/+1 counter deck or a token deck, so that seems pretty good for a wide amount of strategies. Young Pyromancer does seem great for the blue-red instant and sorcery spells deck. And then Active Treason would be good for Rakdos Sacrifice, because you can steal your opponent's creature and then sacrifice it. And then there's also these 3-color lands here if we try to do some heavily multicolored, maybe 5-color decks with Golos, Field of the Dead. Those are still in this cube. I don't actually really know what I want to first pick here. None of these actually stand out as being that powerful, but I feel like a lot of the packs in this set will go that way. This is a pack that I think the more you draft the format, the more you'll really know what decks you like the most and what you'd want to take here. I'm going to roll with Young Pyromancer. I think I want to try out the Instants and Sorceries thing if it ends up being open when it's getting passed to me, but I don't feel like anything in that pack is insanely powerful or something we have to take there. What do we have now? We've got 2 pretty good cards for Golgari Selfmill, Acolyte of Affliction and Back for More. But we've got some good stuff for a red deck as well. Electro Dominance, being kind of a fireball effect. You can dump a bunch of mana into this to do a bunch of damage to any target. That could be your opponent's face, that could be their most important creature, and you get to cast another spell when you cast this. So that's pretty cool. Grim Lavamancer is good for just a generally aggressive red deck, as is Skewer the Critics. All 3 of these are pretty great, and they all... Well, definitely Electro Dominance and Skewer the Critics work very well with Pyromancer. Grim Lavamancer does too, because Lavamancer is good when you have a bunch of cheap instants and sorceries that you're putting into your graveyard quickly, and obviously we would like to have that with Young Pyromancer, so any of these red cards I'm a pretty big fan of. I think I'll just go with Skewer the Critics. We might be really boring for our first Tinkerer's Cube draft if just a mono-red aggressive deck is open here. We could just be mono red, but you can do that in like any cube, so that would be definitely a bit boring. Now we have no instants or sorceries in blue, unfortunately, if we're trying to do like red-blue spells. All of these cards seem better for a different kind of blue deck. Empyrean Eagle, obviously good for Azorius Flyers, blue-white Flyers. Waterknot is okay removal, but if we're going to be red-blue, we're already going to have red removal. We'd only want instant and sorcery-based removal. Underworld Ragehound doesn't seem that insane, but it seems fine for a red aggressive deck, so we could just take that here, but we could also take Sanitarium Skeleton for a Rakdos Sacrifice deck. This could allow us to keep sacrificing creatures every turn. I think I actually like that a little better than the Ragehound here. it just seems more interesting to me because our cards actually work well for Rakdos Sacrifice as well. The Young Pyromancer, at least, spitting out those 1/1 tokens, being able to sacrifice those tokens for value could be pretty nice. So maybe we move into like Rakdos Sacrifice here. And we've got multiple options for that strategy out of this pack as well. We've got Gravebreaker Lamia, seems like the weakest of the options for red-black sacrifice. This can put something in your grave that can come back from the grave. Like we can grab our Sanitarium Skeleton, obviously, throw it in the grave, and we can start bringing that back and sacrificing it over and over. So there is synergy there, but I think if we want to take something for Rakdos Sacrifice, we'd rather just take something like Havoc Jester, dealing a damage every time we sacrifice a permanent. That can really add up, or just Scampering Scorcher to give us 3 1/1s off of the one card, so it's multiple creatures to sacrifice. And this card's also good just in general in a red aggressive deck, or at least decent. I think I'm going to take Havoc Jester here, get a nice sacrifice payoff. What do we have now? Looks like green's pretty open. There's an Elf Tribal Lord here. And then the Evolution Sage proliferating every time you play a land. So those are pretty cool. Just a pretty standard white aggressive card with the Gustwalker. Release the Dogs, I guess, is really just in there for the token decks. Kind of want to take Doomed Necromancer. 3 mana for a 2/2. You can sacrifice it to return any creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that can bring back something really big. And if you have any cards like Havoc Gesture, or like Mayhem Devil or something on the board, you are getting the value when you sacrifice this, of having sacrificed something. I don't think Burning Fist Minotaur is all that insane. It might make more sense here, though, because we are really heavy into red, so we could just stick to mainly red. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'll take the Burning Fist Minotaur here. If we do end up managing to be like mono red, that could be incredibly powerful. Alright, well, Wizard's Lightning works really well with our Young Pyromancer, just 3 mana, instant speed, 3 to any target. Obviously, we're not often going to control wizards here. I guess we do have one wizard, the Burning Fist Minotaur, but even at 3 mana, this card is fine. We don't need to reduce the cost on it. There's also Electrostatic Field, which goes with the strategy, but Wizard's Lightning's just better in general, I feel. We do have a Rakdos card, Carnival and Carnage. Deal 3 to our opponent, have him discard 2 cards. Definitely seems fine. And Skyclave Shade, I think, would be the best card for Rakdos Sacrifice, though, because we can bring this back every time that we landfall. We can cast it from our graveyard in that turn. I'm just going to take the Wizard's Lightning. We're going to be a little boring if red stays open, and it is open. There is Reassembling Skeleton here, too, for Rakdos, though. But I think red's open enough. We can just be mono-red instants and sorceries / aggro. We've got Go for Blood, Shivan Fire, and Abrade. I think I like Abrade the best out of this, because it just gives us the versatility of being able to destroy artifacts as well, if our opponent has something really problematic. And I don't think Go for Blood is going to be that great in our deck. We're not often going to have creatures that are large enough to fight something and survive. Shivan Fire or Abrade is definitely the pick here. I'm going to go with the Abrade. Now we have Gitu Chronicler, return an instant or sorcery from our grave to our hand for 6. And it is a wizard to trigger the Wizard's Lightning. It's that, or Agadeem's Awakening can bring stuff back from our grave if we end up in Rakdos, but we need triple black to cast it, which is pretty difficult. Or like Deathbloom Thallid is a 3 mana 3/2, and it gives us another creature when it dies, so we could like sacrifice 2 creatures off that one card. I think it's just going to be Chronicler there. Now we have the Active Treason Wield for the Rakdos Sacrifice. Other than that, it's like Infuriate or Goblin Wizardry, which both seem a little mediocre. I'll take the Active Treason there. Now we'll take the Lampad of Death's Vigil. It's a good sacrifice outlet. You can pay 1 mana, sack a creature, have each opponent lose a life and you gain a life. We definitely want just random sacrifice outlets if we're going to be running Active Treason, and we do end up in Rakdos. And obviously, especially if we end up with a full sacrifice theme. Now we'll just take the on-color cards. I guess I'll take the dogs, because dogs are cool. But I don't think I'll end up playing that. Carnival Carnage with only 2 cards left there is a pretty nice sign for Rakdos. Maybe we'll get like a last pick Reassembling Skeleton or something. I doubt it, but who knows? Our curve looks pretty good for an aggressive deck. I mean, just a bunch of cheap stuff, tons of 2s and a couple 3s. Carnival Carnage is more of a 4-mana card than a 5-mana card, because the most we have to spend on this is 4. I'm trying to put this in the sideboard. I don't know why I won't go in there. There we go. All right, what do we have out of this pack? Precision Bolt, 3 mana sorcery, deals 3 damage to any target. A strictly worse version of Wizard's Lightning and Skewer the Critics, but it is a third copy, basically. There's also Blade Juggler. Blade Juggler was really good in Rakdos in Ravnica Allegiance. I don't know if it's good enough for Cube, but it seems fine. Nightmare Shepherd's cool. 4 mana 4/4 flyer. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you can exile it to make a 1/1 copy of it. So you're getting your enter the battlefield and death triggers twice on those creatures, which is cool. Double up all your creatures, sacrifice them twice with the Lampad. I think I just take the red card and see if any of the black wheels there, just because we're so heavy into red. And then we can take Banefire for pretty much the same reason. Ephemia is probably my favorite black card here, because we're aggressive enough with a little bit of a sacrifice sub-theme that we'll probably have stuff in our graveyard early. The only issue is we only have like 1 enchantment right now. We just have the Lampad, and I don't think there's that many like red-black enchantments. But so maybe it's like Foulmire Knight over Ephemia, but Farrakha's Libation doesn't seem that great. So it's just like one of those two off of the black cards, and they're both just okay. Well, we've got Fireblade Charger, seems fine. Could take Saheeli, we've got a lot of non-creature stuff going on right now. Tons of instants and sorceries, so this can spit out a bunch of little 1/1s. We're not really doing anything with her -2 ability, but it's basically another young Pyromancer that's not a creature. Definitely a worse young Pyromancer in this deck. I think we just roll with the Fireblade Charger. There's a Golos here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Nothing much for Rakdos. I guess Unbreakable Bond in black. Could take Intervention for like Boros, but I'm just going to stick with Mono Red, pick up the Careless Celebrant. 2 mana 2/1. When it dies, does 2 damage to a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls, so it goes with a little bit of a sacrifice theme as well. Doomed Dissenter or Thrill of Possibility. These are both relatively mediocre. Here we do see a great like enchantment payoff. 2 great enchantment payoffs. I hope somebody ends up in the Enchantress kind of deck with Enchantress's Presence and Calyx. That would be very cool, but I think I'll just take Thrill of Possibility. Again, stick to our red. Take our Dark Dweller Oracle. That's actually pretty perfect, because we are getting a few red cards that are sort of for a sacrifice deck, like the Careless Celebrant and like the Young Pyromancer. And the Dark Dweller Oracle is a sacrifice outlet that we can play in mono red, even if we don't end up with that many black cards. That being said, Bastion of Remembrance can drain a lot of life from our opponent in black-red sacrifice. But I prefer trying to stay to mono color if we can, because then our mana will just be very, very easy. We'll just never get mana screwed. Hateful Eidolon combos with like Deadweight, so you draw a card when you're killing things with Deadweight or Mire's Grasp. But that's pretty much it. And obviously we're not going to wheel the Deadweight here, I don't think. That being said, Gorging Vulture doesn't do much. It is self-mill if we get like a Reanimator card. I'll just take the Hateful Eidolon. No, I'm still here. I just took a Hateful Eidolon. Come on, Arena. Viashino Pyromancer is a very easy pick here. It's a very powerful card for mono red aggressive decks. Gets in for 2 damage the turn you play it, and then obviously every other turn as a 2/1. Plagued Rizalka and Timoret Calls the Dead are the black cards out of here. I think Plagued Rizalka would make the most sense as a sacrifice outlet. How close are we to just mono red now? We did wheel the Blade Juggler. We're pretty close to mono red, and yeah, I only need like 6 more playables to have 23 non-land cards here. We can play Carnival as just a 1 mana instant. I don't love doing that, but if it keeps us in mono red, that could be good. So I'm actually going to take the Sigiled Sword of Valor in here. It's good with our Fireblade Charger, and just in general in an aggressive deck, spitting out a 2/2 Knight every time you attack with your creature is pretty gas. I'll take a treasure map here again. At this point, I'm just going to commit myself into mono red. Treasure map doesn't make the most sense in a red aggressive deck, but it keeps us in the mono red, and it gives us value. In a limited format, I think treasure map is still good, even if it doesn't make a ton of sense here. Take Brain Maggot over Timuret, just because Timuret's a lot harder to cast, being double black. Take Integrity Intervention here over the Unbreakable Bond. Probably not going to play it, but maybe we end up in Boros. Enchantress's Presence and Nyx Herald's still in here. Two enchantment-based cards. Alright, Mind Rack Harpy it is. And a Branching Evolution, last pick. Now we have Dragon Master Outcast, Kazul's Fury, and Fight with Fire for mono red, and Judith for Rakdos. Judith actually makes me kind of want to go back at the Rakdos, because she's good in just an aggressive deck in general, even without a sacrifice sub-theme. Just giving all of your other creatures +1/+0. Dragon Master Outcast is powerful in the late game if it's still around, but it is pretty easy to kill as just being a 1/1. If they don't kill it though, getting a 5/5 dragon every turn is pretty insane. And then Fight with Fire is just nice, kills a creature for 3 mana, or in the late game for 8 mana, you get to do 10 damage anywhere you want, which includes your opponent's face. You can do 10 damage to your opponent with that. And then Kazul's Fury is nice because it fits into mono red and it fits into sacrifice, and it's a good way to just like end the game. I'm going to take Judith here. I think we're going to decide between mono red or Rakdos during the deck building portion. I like having access to that. Scorched Spitter is just another classic, great mono red aggro card, so I'll play in standard. We will scoop up the Scorched Spitter here. Definitely over Farrakhan's Spawn. I don't think we're running that even if we end up in Rakdos. It's much more for the Golgari self-mill deck. Shock for sure here. Just very cheap little damage spell. And again, the black cards don't seem perfect for our strategy. Foreboding Fruit gives you extra value if you're spending triple black on it. And Seeker Squire is just like an Explorer card. Seems like another card for putting stuff into your graveyard with the Explorer ability. Now we have Rimrock Knight, yet another great mono red card that sees plenty of standard play. That's going to have to be the pick here. There is Experimental Overlord for the red-blue spells deck that we were thinking about going early on when we took Young Pyromancer, but at this rate, we're pretty far from it. If we're ending up 2-color at all, it's going to be Rakdos. Get to Lava Runner. We do have a ton of instants and sorceries. Now we even have Shock. We have Wizard's Lightning we'd love to cast for 1 mana off of the Lava Runner. At the same time, Chandra's pretty great. This is a real difficult pick because these are both pretty great for this deck, and they're both like mono red all-stars. I'm gonna roll with the Lava Runner here. I like having more wizards in here, and just more synergistic stuff with the instant sorcery strategy. I suppose Chandra works well with the sacrifice strategy too, because you get those 1/1 tokens you can just sacrifice. She does let you replay stuff from the game. You know what, I'm gonna take Chandra. The Lava Runner might wheel. I feel that the Lava Runner is pretty specific at what it's good at. You have to be like a heavily red deck with tons of instants and sorceries for it to be good, so maybe we can wheel that Lava Runner. I don't think we're going to wheel the Chandra, and I was mainly thinking about Chandra for the 0 ability, but her -2 ability actually would also just be great in here. Recasting our like Precision Bolt and Skewer the Critics and stuff can be awesome. Now we're just going to take another 3 mana 3 damage card, Fateful End. Just have a deck full of them, seems fine. Angrath would be okay here too. We can play Angrath in mono red, and Angrath just like amasses 2 twice. So not the most exciting. We'll take a Fanatical Firebrand, another mono red all-star. Again, we could take Dreadhorde Butcher for Rakdos, but I'm going to stick to mono red now. Castle Embrith or Grim Initiate, both of those are fantastic. I'm going to take the Castle. Just having one of our lands being able to pump in for extra damage in the late game is pretty great. Our curve is actually really low. It basically ends at 3 mana outside of Havoc Gesture, and we could end up cutting Havoc Gesture, so I'm actually going to take Kazul's Fury over Dragon Master Outcast, because we're in a deck that's going to want to win like before we have 6 lands out in the first place. So we'll take Kazul's Fury as just a game ender, just throw like a 3-power creature at our opponent's face. We don't have a ton of creatures here though, so I guess Kazul's Fury won't be sacrificing anything that big, but we can also just run it instead of a mountain. And now we're just taking a bunch of stuff that we won't play. These are all kind of whatever.
Dealing with you will be easier than dealing with demons.
Well, you won't be dealing with me, because I'm not going to run you, Davriel.
Please, run. A chase stokes the forge.
We could play Angrath. Angrath does give our whole field menace, too. Yeah, looking at our creatures, the vast majority of them only have like 2 power, so I don't know. Kazul's Fury is just not that exciting, but it's still fine. Definitely over a land. This deck's looking sweet. We are going to be able to cut the Carnival, too. Definitely cutting the Judith, because we're going to be mono red. Probably cutting Havoc Gesture. So let's see. If we cut those and we cut Judith, and then cut a land, then we've got a 16 land mono red deck here. I guess 17 lands if you count Kazul's Fury. It seems like a little bit, like a lot of lands for how low our curve is. Our average cost is 2.1. Yeah, we're really just trying to defeat everyone who's trying to do fun things by killing them before they get their stuff online. You know, like the token decks, maybe they play like a 1/1 lifelink token turn 1, then they like play a 2/2 or 3/3, and then they play Anointed Procession on turn 4, and then we just like kill them. Just kill them while they're setting up their cards like Anointed Procession and Branching Evolution, all of that stuff you have to tap out for and doesn't do anything the turn you play it. Could be our next strategy. Just spiking the spiking the fun draft pod. That's a mood. I kind of want to cut another land here, but I don't really have anything that I want over a land. There's just Angrath to give all our stuff menace and spit out a 2/2. Could spit out 2 2/2s if our first 2/2 dies, or it just spits out 1 4/4. That's the way Amass works. The 2 counters go on to the zombie army. If you don't have a zombie army out, you just make a new one. So if we use this twice in a row with a zombie army already out, we're just making 1 4/4, but if our first zombie army dies, we make 2 2/2s. I guess there's also like Integrity. We could just run this to give something +2/+2 till end of turn. Little combat trick. I kind of like just having a random Angrath at the top end, give everything menace, poke in for the final few damage, give us a couple more creatures if we need them. Let's pick our basic land, something fancy. Hour of Devastation it is. It's just my favorite land every time I look through the lands. Just love the Bolas stuff. All right, we've got a deck. Pretty basic, pretty standard mono red aggro stuff here. A lot of the all-stars of mono red aggro's history. We didn't wheel that Gitu Lava Runner. That hurts a little bit, but we still got 3 1-mana creatures. So we're doing fine. But yeah, we've got the Scorch Spitter, the Fanatical Firebrand, the Rimrock Knight, Viashino Pyromancer, tons of cards that have just seen a bunch of play in mono red. This seems pretty sick. Pretty sick overall. I'm going to change my sleeves because my current sleeves are not working for some reason. The Extra Life sleeves. So we'll go to the mono red Chandra sleeves. We do have one Chandra in here, so it makes sense. Might not be the Chandra that's pictured, but still. Excited to get into the gameplay here. I'm definitely more excited to see what my opponents are doing than than to like play with my deck, because my deck is straight up just mono red historic basically. It's got a bunch of like random stuff in here because this is Tinkerer's Cube instead of regular cube. If this were regular cube like Dark Dweller Oracle and Careless Celebrant just wouldn't be in the cube period. I do love having the Dark Dweller Oracle to go with our active trees in here, so we can steal our opponent's creature and sacrifice it. That seems pretty bonkers. Opponent does start with a swamp, so they are on black mana. 2 swamps. Ooh, is this going to be the monocolored mirror match? That could be pretty sick. I'm going to play the Careless Celebrant first here. I'm not going to want to active treason something until I have 4 mana out anyway, so that I can spend 3 on treason and 1 on the sacrifice ability, so I don't think we need to curve out the Dweller here. I have to sacrifice a creature. I guess we sacrifice the Scorched Bitter over the Celebrant, because Celebrant can kill something when it dies later. And it does just as much damage if their board is clear. I only have 3 mana here. I only get to play 1 creature. Suppose I'll go with the... This is weird. If I draw a land, I'm going to want to have had this Oracle on top, but if I don't, this Minotaur's nice, because then we get to attack in even if they have a 3 toughness creature, and if they block, we can just discard Angrath. The Minotaur can push in extra damage too. I guess the Oracle also allows us to sacrifice Celebrant at any time for 1. So if they play some kind of creature with like a really good ability, being able to just sack the Celebrant out of nowhere is nice. And I'm actually going to play Young Pyromancer over Burning Fist Minotaur now, because now we're trying to set up a bunch of tokens to sacrifice to the Oracle to draw extra cards. That could be nice. Looks like our opponent's just stuck on 4. They might be stuck on like 1 of 2 colors here. Nothing here adds any immediate damage, because I'm not adding any haste creatures to the board. Don't love tapping out, but I'll go ahead and tap out for Angrath and just hope they don't have some kind of
Ever
wrath.
seen water burn? The only prize I desire.
All right.
Your head.
It is looking like they're just stuck on a second color. That is unfortunate. Not a great way to start the draft. We won the game, but we didn't really fully play a game of Magic there. Our opponent was just stuck on 1 color. But I think our hand was pretty good. Would have been really cool to see, if they had both of their colors, what they were capable of doing there. Because I feel like it may have just been like some decent blocking creatures and stuff. We could get around that with our removal spells, our active treason and stuff. Could have been quite nice. Alright, so we don't have any of our 1 mana cards here, so we're not like curving out perfectly for this aggressive deck, but I only need 1 more land to just go ham with all these instants and sorceries. I'm going to start with a Dark Dweller Oracle. The treasure map is nice here to get us to hit our 3rd mana, but I like being able to just start damaging my opponent if they don't play anything immediately, and we did just hit the 3rd mana anyway. Play that first so I have access to Fateful End at instant speed if something really weird happens here. I have not memorized everything that's in the cube, so I don't know what I could want to do damage to at instant speed. Yeah, everything here is just interactive damage spells, so I'm going to drop Treasure Map and just Scry before my next turn. Three mana up for our opponent. They're on white-black, very likely to be white-black life gain. That would be a bit of a sketchy matchup, but we do have a Dark Dweller to get rid of their first creature. Alright, Dark Dweller Oracle doesn't really work here. I could play my top card this turn, but with 0 mana, so there's no reason to sacrifice it. We'd rather just scry. Viashino Pyromancer. I like that. Let's keep that. Let's get a creature on this board. And I get to hold up the mana for another Treasure Map activation. Could even Skewer here, but we're saving these for our opponent's creatures, especially because I expect a lot of them to be like life gaining, like that Falconwrath Noble. Unfortunately, I've lost my way to sacrifice creatures, so I can't like active treason their own noble and use its ability against them, as cool as that would be. But now I can just shock that and hold on to my 3 damage spells, which is cool. Saving a Braid, because it can do 3 to a creature if they play a 3 toughness creature, or I can destroy an artifact with it. There's an argument for just using a Braid there, because it's the only one of my damaging spells that can't damage my opponent's face, but I don't foresee any game here where I'm not wanting to do 3 to at least one more creature. Divine Visitation. Alright, so they are just setting up for a big token turn. Now all of their tokens come in as 4/4 Flying Vigilant Angels. So that's pretty scary. Now we're at the point where we're just going to start throwing damage spells at their face, because we don't have anything else to do, and the longer they survive, the more likely they are to just create a bunch of angels. So I think we're just going to like do 6 to their face with these and get in. I guess I'll draw a card before I do anything else. That does put me at only 3 mana up though, so I can't play a 3 mana damaging spell and the 1 mana one. If I draw into a land, I can still, because I don't want to sacrifice these treasures for mana when I can sacrifice them for cards off the Cove. So yeah, we're going to play Skewer, and I guess I can hold up Fateful End, and I can do it in their end step. And Scry again. That's probably better than Precision Bolting here. Unfortunately, Abrade does not kill enchantments. Basically, nothing in red kills enchantments, so we have to let them just do whatever they want with Divine Visitation. Preferably nothing insane. If they just like release the dogs here, I actually don't like immediately lose, but I'm in a really bad position. They're at 10. I have 6 damage I can do to their face in my hand, so I could still win that game. It would just be very unlikely. Release the dogs for 4/1/1 dogs would be 4 flying angels. That would just be a big problem. Well, I guess I get to Abrade that, which is cool. Just destroy target artifact, so even if they have a pump spell in hand, it'll die. Oh yeah, this is gonna be, oops. This is gonna be super nice. I always accidentally click on my own emotes. Go to my turn. Do I actually, okay, they just scoop them up. I was gonna see, do I actually have lethal here if I cast Fateful End? I cast Fateful End right now. They go to 7. They take 2 from my Pyromancer and then 3 from Precision Bolt. So they go to 2 life. So I didn't actually have exact lethal yet, but I was getting very close. I think I would Fateful End during their end step off of the treasure tokens there just to scry and maybe get immediate lethal. Maybe not, though. There's an argument either way. Being able to do lethal to them before they get to untap would be huge, so it might be worth pushing in and really hoping to hit another damaging spell off the scry, but at the same time, spending those treasure tokens to draw more cards would probably just guarantee a win no matter what they did from that point on, even if they did release the dogs. So that was more of a game, but not much more of a game. Opponent just stumbled quite a bit. We didn't even like curve out that incredibly or anything, so just a bit of a weird one. Here's the mountain holding up a shock. Turn 2 Underworld Ragehound. Just get a 3 power attacker out real fast here. Just push in for as much damage as we can, as quickly as we can. Opponent is on Rakdos. And an Orzhov Enforcer. I actually absolutely hate that. Our Ragehound has to attack as well here. What's my best play? I guess I let it trade and we just plan on escaping it later. Do I just play like Burning Fist Minotaur that can actually attack into that? Both Burning Fist Minotaur and Fireblade Charger can attack into that fine. I don't really want to use a burn spell on it because it's going to spit out a token either way. I'll just save the Ragehound to use its ability in the grave later. Now we'll get our first striker out that can attack into their 1/1 fine, and the Fireblade Charger. Would love to hit a mana to play Angrath, give Menace to all my creatures here. That could be very good. But we've also just got a shock to deal with the 1/1 if I need to. Well, Anax is bad. Ooh, got the mana for Angrath. Let's go.
You're just fuel. If you want it, fight for it.
Thanks to Menace, they can't block with less than 2 creatures, so no blocks there. Pretty worried about this matchup. Orzhov Enforcer into Annex is very scary to me, because both of those cards are cards that can trade off with one of my attackers and spit out more creatures. So if all of their cards are just getting perpetual value every time that I'm trading off, they're just going to end up in the value lead for sure. Just having a bunch of leftover creatures on the board when I have nothing. Alright, Varric's Bladewing. Sure. They send Annex and the Spirit at Angrath. Could shut off my Menace with that. Do I want to lose a 2/2 to save Angrath for now, so I get in one more Menace swing? I get in one more Menace swing and I get another... I just replace the 2/2. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason not to do that, actually. Because the alternative... Ooh, Act of Treason? I have no way to sacrifice things right now, though. But that could be a huge way to end this game later. Alright, well, let's get in with our Menace swing, but I actually might want to leave a blocker up, but they hit me for 8-9 right now. That's probably fine. I'm just going to send in with everybody. We do leave just a token blocker still here.
Ramming speed.
Now I can play Treasure Map and Scry and hold up Shock. So we take 9 if I don't block. I'm just gonna take it. I think the only way we're really winning the game at this point is if I can like surprise Act of Treason for a bunch of damage, and I like draw into a high damage spell. And the Scrounger can't block, so that's 5 damage guaranteed on board. They're basically at 9 right now. Just Treasure Map. A Mountain definitely going to the bottom. Thinking if I want to Shock right now, I doubt it. If I Act of Treason Annex, how big's Annex on my field? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 power, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'd be doing 9 to them, put them to 5. So if I Shock, then I could draw into Skewer the Critics and win immediately. That's pretty much all that plays into. Do I have a Wizard out? I have a Wizard out. That actually gives me 2 different cards in my deck that would win next turn. And I'm not really shocking any of their creatures. The only one I could shock to good use would be the Scrounger anyway. Yeah, I'll go ahead and shock. I guess the problem with this is if they do have like a burn spell up, then I'm not in a great spot. And I do just draw an Abrade, which is going to kill the only thing that shock could kill anyway. So, do I want to pop the Act of Treason here? I get in for 5, put them to 7, but I'm at 10. So then I kill like Annex, take 5, 6, 7, 8. They almost definitely have burn in their hand to kill me with. If I Act of Treason... Actually, did I miss lethal? Because if I Act of Treason and discarded a card, how much would I have here? Act of Treason on Annex. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, they'd be still 1 away from dead. So even if I kept the mountain on top and drew the mountain, I wouldn't have lethal here. This is a rough one. I think I just send in with... those? Save the 1 blocker, and if they kill my 1 blocker, I get to shoot their flyer. Okay, they kill the Burning Fist Minotaur. It's 1 less removal spell for them to have on my blockers, so that I might actually survive this next turn. It's not looking super likely, but we'll see. I can play the Rage Hound now, too, actually, since that died. I think Abrade makes me feel safer than Rage Hound, though. Phoenix of Ash, that's pretty bad. That's 6 in the sky. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty horrible. I can block 2 of these things, take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess I don't go to lethal. So, I can block the Scrounger and shoot a Nax, but then they have a lethal amount of creatures on board to kill me with the next turn. Anax is only going to be a 2/2 if I steal it on my side. I could steal their, like, Blade Wing, and then I hit them for 6. That's just not quite lethal. I have to, like, top deck Skewer the Critics or something here. Alright, we're all in on a top deck. So, Treasure Map is going to help. I am going to stop on my next turn as well. Get 2 chances. Banefire? Does Banefire do it? I don't think Banefire does it. I can put them to 9, and then I can Active Treason, but I only have 1 mana up, so it has to be like Skewer the Critics. Because I just don't have enough mana to dump into Banefire. Put it on the bottom. I guess even if I stop in my upkeep, I can't scry here, because if I scry here, then I, like, yeah, if I scry here, I don't have enough mana to cast anything other than Active Treason, so if I do draw into, like, Skewer the Critics, it still is just not going to be enough. If I scried beforehand, so I gotta just draw Natural Skewer. Kazul's Fury. I don't have enough mana to do that. Well, a little rough. So this was the plan here. I could now steal this. The Satyr tokens can't block. I hit for 6. Oops. And then I can Spectacle a Skewer the Critics for the final 3 damage, but I did not draw a Skewer the Critics. I guess we can scry one last time. Just a mountain. Well, we got the treasure. Oh my god, we flip it for the treasure token? I didn't even know what I was doing there. Oh my god, I'm so glad I didn't concede. That's insane. Holy... Okay. I found the line by accident. That is bonkers, dude. That's probably the coolest thing I'll ever do in this cube. That's probably the coolest thing I'll ever do in this cube. Oh my god. Kazul's Fury off the top actually did it. I was like, there's no way we have enough mana, but I actually have flipped the thing and I get the extra 3 mana. Treasure Map MVP. And I thought running Treasure Map in Mono Red was a little weird. Look at that. Never didn't have it. 3 wins, no losses. Oh, wow. That is insane. I'm gonna take that and run with it. Whatever happens now. If I lose every other game, that's fine. That was the coolest thing ever. As you can tell, I don't have a lot of experience with all of the cube cards, because I don't play a lot of constructed formats, so I just totally forgot about the treasure map, like flipping and giving me enough mana for the Fury. That's so cool. I'm so glad I didn't just scoop them up there. That would have been very embarrassing. Instead of actually just really cool. Alright, this hand is great. We are definitely hoping for like a synergistic late game deck that's just going to be plopping out enchantments that don't do anything immediately. I'll offer the trade here because I do have like Ragehound that wants me to fill my grave, and I don't think they'll take it because Pelt Collector gets bigger every time they play more creatures. We will plan on like Fateful Ending or Skewer the Critic seeing that. Uh-oh, we're just against like a regular Gruul aggro deck. I don't like that. I want somebody to tap out for Anointed Procession or anything. Patient Rebuilding. Just tap out for things that aren't creatures. And don't slow me down. So... kind of have to get rid of Pelt Collector if I want to send in with both here. But I could send in with just the Ragehound and just say whatever happens, happens. Sure. I could also like Firebrand to shoot the Rage Hound, but then I don't get to shoot anything else, and I don't get to attack in this turn. Oh, they just let it in. Okay. Well, now I can Skewer and Firebrand. I'm gonna do that. Doesn't matter the order, because 3 damage will be enough. Just get those creatures off the board. Hope they don't have like a 3-drop. They probably will, but I can Fateful End that one. Just try to keep the pressure on and scry away another card. If it's a land, put that on the bottom, because that is garbage. Lands are unnecessary. Rishkar, Pima, Renegade. I am so glad I cleared their field, because I would be just stonewalled here. Just all the shields are up, because they get to put counters on all their creatures. Alright, well, let's scry one and get that out of the way. Fireblade Charger? Nah. I don't want a 1-1 right now. That being said, it is going to be a lot worse if I just hit a land now. But I just don't think Fireblade Charger is going to do enough at this point. I do have Thrill of Possibility in my deck, so I should hold like 1 land in my hand at all times. So if whatever I draw next turn, I just cast it and keep the land in hand. Ooh, Rimrock Knight can't block. I love those words. Oh, but it can fight, my Scorched Spitter. If they have a fight spell. Kazul's Fury puts them much closer to dead than they were before. Could have pumped Castle Embereth for the 1 extra damage there. But I like holding on to an Instant Speed Fury. If they have a removal spell for my Rage Hound, I might want to use that and just kill their creature. Or throw my creature at their face, either way. Earthshaker Kenra. Okay, I'll take 5 here if they want to do that. But I feel like they're going to hold on to the Kenra just to trade off with my Rage Hound. Then I'll recast my Rage Hound from the grave, because I do have enough cards in there. Alright. Precision Bolts. I only have enough mana for one of these things. They're going to get back to Kenra as a 4/4 if I do this, but I put them to 4 life here. I think it's worth it. Because then I just need like 1 more damage from any random thing. I suppose that does really hurt that I didn't use Castle Embereth the other turn, because now they would just be dead to a Kazul's Fury. Maybe they don't even have the 6th land. If they don't have the 6th land, that's fantastic. But they also have 2 other cards in hand. Those could either be a creature as well. Any of that would save them. Any creature or removal spell. Oh, they're just going to bring back the Rage Hound from their grave here? Maybe? No, a Hunt the Weak with the Rimrock Knight. Well, now I get to return the Rage Hound as a 4-power creature. So as long as I survive just 1 more turn, I get to Kazul's Fury it. So not pumping the Rage Hound didn't hurt me that bad, because I wouldn't have won that turn anyway, because they just killed it. Definitely not blocking. If they have lethal, they've got lethal. But I assume they just have a creature here. That is the most likely thing. Yep, Underworld Rage Hound, so 4 to the face with Kazul's Fury, let's go. Kazul's Fury putting in a ton of work this draft. That's 2 wins in a row with it if this pans out. And there we go. I think we're 4 wins, no losses with our pretty boring, just mono red deck. I guess the cool thing about Tinker's Cube is even if you do draft the relatively boring strategy for the cube when there's all these other synergistic, super crazy combo-y things you can be doing, you do still
Together We are
You
unstoppable.
still get... Oh, thank you for the follow, whoever that was. I'm recording right now and not live streaming, but it still sends me follower alerts, so that's a little weird. My apologies to the YouTube people. This was supposed to be for only you, but somebody had to hop in on Twitch and make the Twitch follower sound. All right. I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, even if you draft just a regular strategy you'd see in any deck or any cube like mono red, you still end up with weird little combos. Like this deck is straight up just mono red, but I got like the flip treasure map into Kazul's Fury type stuff. I have Active Treason into Dark Dweller Oracle. I have all that kind of stuff. This is a bad matchup. This is one of the scariest matchups we can have, is to play against a life gain deck, obviously. I think we might want to even just Banefire their Soul Warden to slow down their life gain. That's a thing. I could also just play Dark Dweller Oracle this turn, and next turn I can kill their Soul Warden by sacrificing the Fireblade Charger, which is alright. I can actually cast Banefire from my grave with Chandra later. I kind of like putting more power on this board, though. We'll let them gain the life for now, but we will sacrifice Fireblade Charger, do 1 damage to their Soul Warden. They do gain 2 life this turn off of the Hanged Executioner, but 2 is not 3, so not enough to get a Griffin out. I kind of want to kill the Hanged Executioner as well, which means I'm spending all of my mana to Banefire plus sack Fireblade Charger. I guess I don't need to sacrifice the Charger if I just send in with it, but if I kill both the creatures first, I get to send in for 2 instead. I think I still want to just send in the Charger. Alright, well, we're not going to get max damage out of this, but that's fine. Banefire for 1 on the Executioner. Get rid of their removal spell. Now sacrifice the Charger. I guess I should have sacked the Charger first in case I drew a 2-mana removal spell. That was bad sequencing. If I drew Skewer the Critics here, that would be really bad for me. Sigiled Sword of Valeron was definitely not going to be castable for us that turn. Luminous Broodmoth's pretty scary. Whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return to the battlefield with a flying counter. So it's just a 3/4 flyer here, actually. That's not that bad. Well, we send in, play Underworld Ragehound here, because we send in so we could Rimrock Knight to kill the Broodmoth, potentially. Alright, no blocks, hit for 2. We can't block anyway, because it's got flying. Let's drop our Ragehound and pass the turn. Skymarcher Aspirant. Another flyer. Does not have flying until they ascend, which means until they have 10 or more permanents on the battlefield. They have 8 right now, so we're safe from the flying for now. But we may just want to kill that. We can actually just get Menace with Angrath. I'm taking 4, 5, 6 on the next turn. We can definitely afford the damage. Let's just get Angrath out here to push in.
Never seen water burn. Come on.
Plus I get a chump blocker if they don't reach enough permanents for their aspirants. Alright, they don't. Ooh, and they're actually going to send at Angrath, which means that I'm under less pressure now in terms of life total.
Course free.
Chandra plus Dark Dweller Oracle is going to be fun. Sacrificing the elemental token she makes later. I don't know if I want to do that right now, because if I do that, I'll be spending 3 for Chandra, 1 for... 1 to sacrifice one of the things. I think I want a Thrill of Possibility, just main phase here, discard a land. See what other options we have. Well, Castle Embereth I'll definitely play. Now I can Rimrock Knight, or I can play Chandra. I like holding up Rimrock Knight's ability, but I don't need it right now, because we're going to trade with anything that blocks right now. If I want to play Chandra this turn, I should just play Chandra right now. She does have 4 loyalties, so they'll have to send with Broodmoth and the 1/1 flyer, so I trade with like 1 creature here. I don't think I want to put Chandra down on this board, though. I think I want to trade off with something. And then just play like the Minotaur and the Rimrock Knight. We're actually going to trade off with 2 things. Alright, not bad at all. Yeah, we'll accept that. We don't have the Oracle plus Chandra combo anymore, but we still have Chandra with several great spells in our graves yet. I guess just 2, Banefire and Thrill of Possibility to recast. Oh yeah, I guess the Aspirant comes back. That's annoying. Because it did not technically have flying yet. I wasn't even thinking of that. Broodmoth is a very annoying card for us. Alright, take 2. Turn. I don't think we're using Chandra pre-combat just to get 1/1s. I think we just send in, hold up all our mana to do something to that Broodmoth. Alright, I like using the Rimrock Knight and then casting Rimrock Knight here. Could also play Ragehound from grave though instead. Ragehound is bigger than the Rimrock Knight, but if I play Rimrock Knight, I hold up a Braid, I can kill their only blocker. Yeah, I'll play the Rimrock Knight. It's only 1 less power, and now I get to hold up a Braid, which is good. Oh, they are on white-black life gain. They were just stuck on the black mana for quite a while. Indulging Patriarch is going to be annoying. With Burning Fist Minotaur on the board, and Castle Embereth, I actually, both of my creatures can kill the Patriarch, so I'm going to Braid the Aspirant. I just send in, if they block Rimrock Knight, I pump my whole field with Embereth, and if they block Minotaur, I discard this mountain. So we trade there, they take 3, we just pass. Still holding on to the mountain for Minotaur. Really need 6 mana next turn. I guess I could play the mountain, because then if I top deck a land, I can play Chandra and my Ragehound. Did not top deck a land, though. Venerated Loxodon's annoying, but Burning Fist Minotaur still gets to get in. 2, 3, 4. I have enough mana to push in for 6 damage here if they don't block, which could be really scary to them, so they might block. Oh yeah, this is nice, because I don't actually want to discard 2 things here. So I like just discarding the 1 to kill the Loxodon. And now... probably, I guess I can't afford the Ragehound quite, because I just had to discard the land. We just treasure map Scry over the Chandra. Set up next turn's draw. If we could draw the best card in our deck, our Kazul's Fury, that'd be pretty sick with Burning Fist Minotaur. They are sending in with Silver Smoke Ghoul. Some bold attacks coming in. If I draw any removal, I'm immediately slamming it on that Serra Ascendant. That's for sure. Sacrificing the Silver Smoke Ghoul to draw a card. What are they hits? Nothing yet. Going to my turn, we'll hit our Scry. Careless Celebrant. Yeah, that seems good here. And I don't actually want to Scry my upkeep because I'm going to spend all 5 mana. We'll play Chandra first. Play 1/1s because 1/1s will trade with the Serra Ascendant.
These little guys are great.
Luckily, Serra Ascendant doesn't do anything unless they have a bunch more life than they currently have. And there's the concession. So mono red aggro has gone 5-0 now, giving us 4,000 gold, which is how much it costs to hop into one of these, so we are in the value now. At least I'm pretty sure it's 4,000 gold. Really weird entry fee here, because it's like a different entry fee and prizes than any other format on here. I thought it would just be the same as Quick Draft or something like that. But you don't keep any of the cards. So I think they made it like slightly cheaper. The prize out isn't great though for building up your collection, but if you're a player like me, I don't really care about my collection. I just play limited all the time. I'm just here for the fun drafts. Plus I just play enough limited that I already have everything I need basically. if I ever do want to get into Standard. Well, our curve's very nice here. 1 mana 2/1 into a 2 mana 3/1, essentially. Scorched Spitter's not technically a 2/1, but it functionally does 2 damage a turn. And our opponent plays a card that will gain them life every time they play another creature, so we're just going to kill that immediately to stop them from gaining the life, and then to use all our mana, play our Careless Celebrant. Get in for 5 again. Three mana up for our opponent, and a Silver Smoked Ghoul it is. I do not have any removal for that, so we will just be sending in with everybody, and whatever they want to trade with, the trade happens. I can Rimrock Knight for a couple extra damage here, which I think I'll do, because I can do that and still cast everything. Let's just go for it. Down to 7 now. Play a Rimrock Knight. And a Fireblade Charger. I'm all in. No cards in hand. What do you got, opponent? You're at 7 life, facing off against 8 damage, I think, because of Scorched Bitter's ability. You're going to have something pretty great here. If they play a blocker, they can trade with the Rimrock Knight. Oh no, that was really good. Erebos' Intervention, because they gain life and kill something off of that. I did draw into a removal spell to kill that Silver Smoked Ghoul. They are down to 4 here. I think I just hold on to the Abrade, because I don't need to kill the Ghoul until it's in a position where it's going to be blocking. I suppose if I did it right there, they couldn't sacrifice the Ghoul to draw a card, but I don't think that's going to be the play for them. We'll see, maybe it is. I just want to save the Abrade because I'm just petrified that they're going to play like a 3/3 lifelinker or something. I don't know what lifelinkers are in the queue, but it could be scary stuff. Order of Midnight on the Daxos, so they can gain more life when they play more creatures. And then they cast Order of Midnight, which can't block, which means we can actually just kill Silver Smoke Ghoul and win that way. They've got no blockers now. So this is over lethal. And we drew Kazul's Fury anyway. Even if they were able to immediately cast Daxos after that, the Kazul's Fury was just brutal. Ridiculous draw. Let's just draw Kazul's Fury every game. And then it just won't matter. So 6 wins and 0 losses. Very fantastic start to the Tinkerer's Cube drafts. Again, even if the deck isn't so interesting, it is powerful. And it is grabbing some quick wins. Only need 1 more win to go, and I've got 2 losses of breathing room. I think we can get there. We can start off the Tinkerer Cubes with a bang with a 7-win run. Let's do the thing. Could be a pretty quick run, too. It's only been about an hour, and I think at least like 10 minutes of that was just kind of explaining the Tinkerer's Cube and what the general color schemes were capable of. As always, we're over an hour into this draft, so it's really weird to bring it up now, but as always, I have timestamps in the description of all my videos to every section of the video, and that's how it shows up in the time bar as well, the little red bar that shows how far you are in the video, just to make it easier to skip to any point in the video. So if you already know how Tinker's Cube draft works, you can just skip right past the explanation at the beginning. Or if one of my games starts getting dragged down by a control deck or a mill deck and you're like, well, this is just uninteresting gameplay, you can just skip right on to the next one. Alright, off to another pretty sick start. We're against a blue-green Proliferate deck, it looks like, with a Contentious Plan as their first card cast. So the way our opponent would win here is to play larger creatures than ours and just keep making them bigger and bigger and bigger. So we really need to race here, especially with Beanstalk Giant giving them even more mana, even faster. So I think I want Young Pyromancer before Careless Celebrant, because I might be Bane firing something next turn. Opponent's down to 14. They're going to have 5 mana here. Pretty scared about that ramp. Play a Shacklegeist. They can tap 2 untapped spirits to tap a creature they control. Oh, they just play it to fight the young Pyromancer. They just do not want my Pyromancer on board at all. Okay. Well, now I definitely play Careless Celebrant. I'm not about to Banefire their face for 3 when I can Banefire them for more later. They're down to 11. That was a super fine turn for me. Them just playing a big creature would be way scarier. Like this. This is absolutely disastrous. Mesmerizing Bentid is fantastic against our deck. It's actually just completely insane. 5 mana for 4/5 spits out 2 0/2s. The 0/2s tap our creatures down when they block, and the 4/5 has hexproof as long as the 0/2s are on the board. So this is just not great at all. If I attack with everybody, they can block... They block my Viashino Pyromancer with their Mesmerizing Bentid, so I'll lose my Viashino Pyromancer. I can't Banefire the Bentid because I can't kill both of the 0/2s immediately. But maybe I kill one of the 0/2s with my Careless Celebrant. They're going to have a Beanstalk Giant next turn on the board. I need to try to like clear their board here. I'm going to send in with everybody, and I'm just really hoping to kill these Benthids off. So I can maybe end the game with an Active Treason on a Beanstalk Giant later. They're going to let the 2 in. They don't even want to lose a single Benthid. Well, I hate that a lot. Do I even want to literally just Banefire one for 1? I guess they're at 9 life, so if I just play all my lands, I could try to just be Banefiring for lethal. I'm at Banefire for 4 right now, and if I draw any burn spells off the top, that could be huge. Yeah, I guess I'm just holding on here then. So I'm already at Banefire for 4. Oh, good lord. So we're entirely on our burn spells now. Now they have 2 Benthids, 2 4/5 hexproof, and 4 0/2s that just tap my stuff down all over the place. We are at 5 damage Banefire now. We're getting there. Maybe they won't want to block the Minotaur. They probably will, though, because Minotaur hits them for 6 if I discard my whole hand. So they probably just block with an O2. I'm just going to hold back. I really hope... If they play something with flying, I can definitely win with Banefire. But they probably won't. They're probably just going to play Beanstalk Giant, and then they have a million 0/2s to block that if I Active Treason that. I do get to kill a 0/2 by chumping with the Careless Celebrant here, which is nice. I could kill that if I discard my whole hand, but I really don't want to discard Banefire here. So I'm not going to block with the Minotaur. Let's do 2 to one of their O2s. Just get one of them out of the way. See what they have. It's a Beanstalk Giant, sure. A Braid really does not do much for me here. 3 damage to something. If I Active Treason Beanstalk Giant, I guess I get to keep it tapped so it doesn't attack back at me. Which could save me a little there. I could Active Treason Beanstalk Giant, attack with everybody. And then I'm killing all of the O2s. Yeah, they pretty much have to block Beanstalk Giant. And if I Braid one of the O2s, they've only got 2 left. 1 blocks Giant, 1 blocks Minotaur. They take 1, go to 8. I'm still 3 away from Banefiring them, but then if I draw into like Skewer the Critics or something, that would be good. I think I probably just hold back the Fireblade Charger and don't Abrade yet, though. If they don't block Burning Fist Minotaur, this will be huge. Okay, they do. Sad. I will accept this. That means I do get all of the 0-2s are gone if I abrade the last one, and then their 4-5s don't have hexproof anymore, but they're still 4-5s. And I don't exactly have stuff to deal with 4-5s right now. Roalesk. They would play their flying creature the moment I cast Active Treason. That's incredibly rough. I hate that a lot. Oh, well, I got rid of all the 0-2s potentially with this abrade. Okay, I can get them down to 1 blocker. So I take 10, they have 1 blocker. But then I only have Fireblade Charger now anyway. Well, we would have won if we could Active Treason Roalesk, but... But I don't know, that's kind of like a hindsight 2020 thing. I think that Active Treason on Beanstalk Giant to clear the board like still worked out here. We killed everything except the creature that they just played this turn. I obviously don't have a blocker now, so I'm just dead. Can recast something from Grave. I guess I can recast Active Treason, but that's 4 damage. That's just not enough. And then I take a million. I could recast Abrade. That doesn't save me either. Well, we tried to get the 7-0 run, but here's our first loss. Not the end of the world. We can still definitely hit the 7 win. But that is very much game. Benfid and then copy the Benfid, and we still got relatively close. I guess I'll have to look back on that one in the recording. I'm not actually 100% certain if I could have survived long enough to Active Treason their flyer instead, because if I didn't Active Treason their giant, then their giant would have attacked me once, so then I would have to chump block with basically all my creatures. And I'd have to have the time to Active Treason one turn and then Banefire the next turn. So maybe the only route to victory would have been if I cast Banefire like prematurely, like a long time ago, just some turn where I wasn't doing much else. Just Banefire their face, and then they'd be like within range of maybe the Active Treason for lethal. Not sure on that one. All right, heading into round 8. 6 wins and 1 losses. We get to start off with a Scorch Spitter, getting in for 2 damage a turn. We've got Chandra to recast our Shock. That'll be very good. Shock this Soul Warden, just get that off the board. We've got token production here in Mono Red with Sigiled Sword of Valeron and Chandra, spitting out extra tokens to deal some damage. We got plans. Turn 2, nothing from our opponent. Kind of like playing Chandra first over the sword, because I'm going to have to play the sword one turn and equip it the next turn, so this eats up 6 of my mana over 2 turns. It might do more in general, but I like having Chandra out so I have access to her -2 ability.
Hey, don't start any
If
fires
they
without me.
play another creature here, I'm really going to want a -2 and just recast Shock. So I just like being able to use that ability, and this also pushes in for a fine amount of damage, even if it's not spitting out nice little night tokens that are permanently on the board. Well, I think I Precision Bolt that. Precision Bolt and Skewer as the draws is pretty great.
Hey, these little guys are great.
Opponent's down to 8 now. There's an elite guard mage, we can skewer that. Unfortunately, we can't get the spectacle off the skewer. I could even just recast Precision Bolt for my grave on that. Yeah, I'm not really worried about Chandra getting damaged here, so we may as well get that value out of it so we can keep Skewer in hand. Because Skewer I could play to finish off my opponent for 1 mana after an attack, so it is marginally better here. That way I can cast something pre-combat and post-combat. Well, Rimrock Knight is pretty perfect against that. I guess not completely perfect. If they block Scorch Spitter, then I'll have to just Skewer instead. We're definitely making tokens here, though.
Oh, they're so cute.
Just go wide around that, get in for 3. They block Scorch Spitter, maybe? Whatever they block, we're going to kill it with Skewer the Critics. Might have been worth Rimrock Knighting there for just the extra damage. And it might still be worth just playing Rimrock Knight. I think it's actually better to just play Rimrock Knight here than hold on to it for its ability, or play a treasure map. We're not really wanting to set up our draws. We have any instant or sorcery in our grave as our draw, with Chandra's minus ability, so they're basically just dead. Is this a flash blocker? We'll see. It is Threnody Singer. Did not even know that's in the cube. So they get to eat Rimrock Knight and take 3. They're down to 4 life. They are very, very, very close to dead. I think we play our sword or our treasure map. I think I play the sword. Chandra's still going to be on board, so they're so likely to just die here. Because if they don't hit Chandra at all, we can bring back an instant or sorcery from grave. If they do hit Chandra, we still get the 2 0-1s, or the 2 1-1s out of her. I guess they pump up the Threnody Singer and give it lifelink. So that's 2 damage to Chandra, kills Chandra and puts him at 6. And they have the Wanderer that can exile a creature with power 4 or greater. Well, that's pretty bad against our deck. Well, we're all in on the sword now. We definitely don't need to kill the Wanderer. We need to remember its abilities so that I don't try to cast a burn spell at their face. But until I draw a burn spell, she just doesn't do anything. And then we just drop down treasure map, why not? Stop during our turn. So that I can scry before I draw, because my most expensive spells are 4 mana, which means I can afford the 1 mana before my draw step. Alright, a Johnny's Pride Mate, and they're life gaining off the Singer and drawing cards off of it. I am worried. I won't lie. What do we got on top? Mountain, definitely get out of here. Straw. Okay. Main phase it is. We'll stop in our upkeep again. I think we send everything at their face. They trade Fireblade Charger for the Pride Mate. Unfortunately, the Charger doesn't get to do its ability. To just kill them. Normally it would die and then just deal 3 damage to their face, but the damage is just prevented with the Wanderer's ability. So we just attack their face and then we equip our sword to one of the knights. Thassa's Intervention, looking at the top several cards. Trying to draw something better. Oh, actually, I forget that the knights come into play attacking, so that's actually just lethal combat damage still. Yeah, that sword's busted. That thing's pretty scary. It does take a little while to set up. You tap out for it, turn 3, tap out again to equip it to something, but really pushed through that game. Fantastic sword. Well, that is going to do it for my first ever Tinkerer's Cube draft. That is 7 wins and 1 loss with our mono red. A little bit of instant and sorcery stuff going on with Young Pyromancer, a little bit of sacrifice stuff going on with like Kazul's Fury and Active Trees and that kind of stuff. Pretty great run overall. Get our 6,000 gold and our 3 cards out of it. See what we get here. Combine Guildmage, Midnight Oil, and Kijali's Sunwing. Well, if you enjoyed that video, as always, just stick around for more content, like, comment, subscribe. There will be plenty more Magic Arena drafts on the channel, 1 a day. keeps the doctor away. If you want to catch me live on Twitch, there's a link below for that. And if you're watching this the day of release, the moment it comes out, I'm actually live on Twitch right now. So you can come say hi, hang out. I'll be doing plenty of extra Tinkerer's Cube drafts, getting more practice for my next drafts for more videos. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow.